What is going on, YouTube? And welcome back to JoJo Speaks. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this review of Powebook 2 Ghost Season 4, Episode 9. So we only have one more episode in this season left, y'all. And I have to say that I'm not the most pleased with the way that this season is going, and I think it's because of the abrupt. It's so abrupt that this show is coming to an end. And I was telling my mother a little bit earlier while we were watching the show that I really don't believe that they'll have enough time to kind of tie up all the loose ends, tie up all the things that are out there, and kind of bring everything together for an actual series finale, not just a season finale. And I think that's mainly because the cast really didn't know that the series was coming to an end while they were filming this particular season, um, which I think is pretty unfortunate. And also, if the producers or the writers did not know that this was going to be the last season, then maybe they would have put a little bit more effort into the show, the writing especially. I do watch another channel, another YouTube channel's reactions to this show, STGTV. Shout out to those men. I thoroughly enjoy watching their reactions, and they completely did not like this particular episode and haven't liked the last couple of episodes that have been on this most recent season. So I'll get into the parts that stuck out to me the most. So I'll just kind of go through what ended up happening. So excuse me. Agent Carter ends up calling Tariq and letting him know that there's a deal going down downtown, and he wants him to be his eyes and ears out there to get him a name. Not exactly sure what name he's actually looking for. Monet, Drew, and Diana end up going to Norma and Kane's rehearsal dinner. We meet Norma's brother from Africa. He seems to be in on whatever the family business is, or the family enterprise, as they stated at the table was. I thought he was a great addition to the show. He seems to be a little menacing, and I think that that's great for any character that's going to be on in the Power universe. That dinner was probably the spiciest part of the entire show. I did not expect for Monet, Drew, and Diana to be kind of ragging on Kane. And, well, really, this entire marriage, to be honest. I thought that was extremely interesting when Monet brought up Mecca at the table. I was like, oh, wait a minute now. Is she going to actually say that she had Mecca's baby and that both Mecca and her baby are both no longer in the land of the living? Um, I thought that was extremely interesting myself. And also with Drew bringing up the fact that, well, Kane actually does not own this penthouse. It was given to us by our mother. And then Monet chimes in with, well, I only let y'all live here until I was able to sell it. So I will have to say though, that white dress that Monet was wearing at this rehearsal dinner was absolutely gorgeous. I loved the way that she filled it out. I loved the way that it accentuated her curves. It was an amazing dress that Monet was wearing. Monet and Kane later on have a conversation in Kane's bedroom, and Monet finally tells Kane that he was a good son. I thought that this was, I don't want to say too little, too late. But, apparently Kane didn't think so because he thanked Monet for everything that she's done for him. I really don't like this tension between Kane and Drew, although I have seen it in the past couple of seasons. But I really, really wish that they supported one another a little bit more. I really wish that they would show their love for each other a little bit more. It's clear that Kane loves Diana. That's his little sister. So I completely understand that. And I understand why Drew and Kane may not get along too well. That makes perfect sense to me because Kane is the older brother. Drew is constantly trying to show that um, he's reliable, that he is a boss, that he is not your regular corner boy. He's worth a whole lot more than your average drug dealer. So Drew is. I guess I'll go ahead and say Drew is my favorite character on this show, mainly because he is the gay character on the show, and I'm always find myself rooting for Drew. I want the best for Drew, and in my fantasy, I would love to see a spinoff with just Drew, and him finding love, not only finding love, because I loved Drew's relationship with Gordo last season. Like, I never liked Everett for Drew. I never thought that Everett was, I don't want to say good enough, but I never thought that he was ready for Drew, much like Monet told Everett in the sixth episode of the second season. You know, you ain't ready for my son, you and your big mouth. You know what I'm saying? So when Drew got with Gordo, I was like, oh, this is perfect. Another dude that's in the game. He knows how things go and he knows how to separate his emotions from his business. And, you know, I thought that he would be able to teach Drew some things because it seems like Drew isn't able to separate his emotions from his business. And, you know, that's the issues that Lorenzo and Kane had with Drew in the second season, that they thought that, you know, Everett was an outlier. Everett was what was not reliable. So there's that. But you know, of course, Drew and Kane having issues. They go to the bar, and this is the first time. I don't know if this was Monet's bar, or I don't know if this was just some random strip club that they went to after the rehearsal dinner, but you know, Kane's telling his cousin, you know, watch what you say, you know what I'm saying? Because you never know when the feds is watching. And then he looks at Drew, and Drew's like, yeah, that was very interesting. But anyway, so Effie ends up coming to the bar. And saying, you know, what's going on with the drop? Because it seems like the drop has been changed. You know, the Vadim, you know, the Russians, which is what she was referring to when she said Vadim. She said they were going to the same place that Tariq and Monet were going to, and you know, Diana calls their auntie Janet, played by the amazing Golden Brooks, who played Maya Wilkes in Girlfriends. She ends up telling them where Monet is. Monet is at the same place that Tariq is, and then Diana and Drew figure out, well if Monet and Tariq are going to the same place, and you know, and that Vadim is going to, this sounds like a setup. So Monet shows up at the spot. Then Tariq walks up, and you know, Tariq figures out that it is a setup. And when they turn around, they see the Russians, Vadim and his henchmen, right next to him. And you know, they tell them to put their guns down, and you know, they put their guns down, and then Drew and Diana show up to save Monet and Tariq, and so they take out the Russians. Monet picks up the semi-automatic and, you know, takes them out or whatever. And so Monet says, "Well, let's let them think that we are dead." And so, excuse me. And so they go on. They put the Russians in Monet's car. They set the car on fire. Norma walks up to Agent Carter and is like, I haven't heard the news. Kane has not told me that his mother is DOA. So what the freak is going on? And so of course Agent Carter and his right hand man, they don't know what's going on at all. And so Monet, Drew, Diana, Tariq, and Davis get this plan going as to how they're going to take out both Carter and Norma. So Drew, Diana, and Monet, they're going to try to take care of Norma, and Tariq is going to try to take out Carter. But they need Effie and Braden in on the plan, or else is not going to work. So Davis ends up distracting one of the bodyguards. Now, for some reason, I thought that this bodyguard was Kane. I thought it seemed like he looked just like Kane, and so Davis drives the bodyguard out to this undisclosed location. It seems like it's near the beach. I'm not sure exactly where they are. But Davis takes out the bodyguard, and in this moment, I really thought that Davis was killing Kane, but apparently not. It wasn't Kane. These two men look almost exactly alike, at least to me. But that could be due to my poor vision. So it is what it is. But anyways, so apparently this was the first person that Davis has taken the life of, and so he's really freaked out after he sees that the man is no longer in the land of the living. And so now Tariq follows Carter into the church because this is their plan. They know that Agent Carter goes to do his confessionals at the same time every week. And so Tariq hides in the confessional next to the confessional that Agent Carter is in. Effie takes out the security. She wipes out the video surveillance footage. Now Tariq told Brayden, no drugs at all. Your mind needs to be on point. You need to be coherent. You need to be here with us and focused. But of course, Kane does take a little bump right next to Effie after she takes out the security guard and wipes out the video. So Tariq approaches Carter with the gun, and Carter ends up getting the gun from Tariq, putting him in handcuffs and putting him in the back of his car. Braden and Effie follow Carter and Tariq, and they cause a car crash, making Agent Carter's car run into the back of a semi-automatic, not a semi-automatic, my bad, an 18-wheeler. It looks like the trailer of an 18-wheeler, and so we later see Kane and Norma actually get married. They do actually get married. I won't say I didn't expect to see it. I didn't expect to see it so soon. But then again, we only had 2 episodes left, so there you go. So during this reception, um, Norma, she challenges Kane, asking him, "Are you going to choose me or are you going to choose Monet?" And the reason why she's doing this is because Carter called Norma right after, while he was putting Tariq in his car. He lets Norma know that both Tariq and Monet are still alive, which is not a good thing. And so this is causes for Norma to do what she does, end up doing to Kane. And so after Kane does not give her a definitive answer, she takes him to this back room. And then once Monet finds out that Norma knows that they're alive, she rushes over to the location of the wedding. So Drew and Diana, they are already at the wedding and at the reception, and so Drew and Diana meet up with Monet, and Monet's like, okay, you guys, make sure that you when you go in there, if you see anything going wrong, get the f up out of there. And so before we get to the final scene, we get back to Agent Carter, Braden, Effie, and Tariq. And so apparently, Effie and Braden have tied up Carter in this warehouse looking space. And apparently Tariq is still knocked out from the crash that ended up happening in the back of Carter's car. And so they're deciding what they want to do with Agent Carter. They don't know exactly what they're going to do just yet. I'm assuming that Agent Carter is going to get taken out in the next episode. I'm assuming I don't know how they're going to end up doing this last episode, because they got Agent Carter exactly where they want him, and we've got an entire episode to get through. And I would assume, well, I guess maybe Agent Carter probably going to be the first death of the last episode, and I guess Norma's going to be the final death in the last episode, because Norma's got to go. Like, ain't no way that she's going to end up still alive at the end of this series. Ain't no way at all. And that would be the biggest anticlimactic part of this particular show if Norma ends up living through the rest of the series. And so we'll see what happens with Agent Carter in the next episode. But in the final scene of this particular episode, Kane is in some type of basement with Norma, her henchman, and her brother, and she's again telling him, "You need to choose between me and your mother, Monet." And Kane gives off this amazing speech, emotional speech. I absolutely love Woody McClane's acting in this series. Excuse me, I love his acting in everything that I've seen him in the Bobby Brown miniseries on BET, as well as the New Edition miniseries on BET. I think he did a great job playing Bobby Brown. I would love to see him in some other type of roles, maybe playing a lawyer, maybe playing something else other than a drug dealer, or a bad guy, because people really saw Bobby Brown as a bad boy. So there's that. But he's an amazing actor. He's really good at showing his emotion in his scenes. And so he pretty much tells Norma, when I was out there in these streets for a young black man, it's not safe out here in these streets. And Monet was the only one who protected me while I was out there in these New York streets. And so right before Norma goes to take Kane's life, Monet busts in, and she's guns ablazing, looking wonderful, looking amazing. And this is another conversation that my mother and I had, is that Monet is always dressed to the nines, no matter what she's doing, whether she's just talking to her kids, whether she's going to take someone's life, whether she's going, whatever she's doing, Monet's always dressed up. Whereas Rock, on the other hand, in Raising Kanan, she's dressed for the occasion. You know, when she went to go take out Juliana, who was supplying drugs for Ronnie and Kanan. You know, when she showed up at her house, she had her hair pulled back, she had all black on, she had gloves on. You know, she was ready. But Monet is always dressed to the nine, no matter what she's doing. But anyways, so Kane is still tied up, and right before Norma tells her henchman to shoot Kane, Monet steps out into the open, and she's guns ablazing, both guns in her hand, and she's shooting, she's shooting. It doesn't seem like she hit anybody. Now, before this scene, Monet has hit everyone she's had a target on. I don't think Monet has missed any target that she's had in this series thus far, but for whatever reason, she's shooting, and Norma is shooting back. And Norma shoots up Monet maybe about 4 or 5 times, and Monet collapses. And Kane is right there. He's still tied up in the chair. His face is on the ground, and you know he's pleading for his mother to hold on. And then Drew and Diana run in. Norma and her henchmen, they all rush out, and the episode ends with Monet seemingly dying. I'm assuming that I'm pretty sure, 100% sure that she is dead. And Monet's last words were my babies," and it's so bittersweet for me to see Monet dying in this last episode, in this most recent episode, because Monet seems to have a change of heart as it relates to her children. And appreciating her children and showing her appreciation to her children has been a great change of a setting, for Monet to be so nice to Diana in these last couple of episodes. Of course, Drew has always been at the center of Monet's heart. Drew has always seemingly has always been Monet's favorite, at least in my opinion. And so I've always loved seeing that interaction between those two. And then in this most recent episode, Monet actually telling Cade, and with the opposite of what she has always been telling him in these last couple of seasons, is that, always calling him a dumbass, always calling him stupid, always saying that he's, not ready for this world. He's not the man. And so in this episode, Monet actually telling Kane that he's a good son, is definitely a great change of pace. But in my opinion, it's really too little, too late, and it's so sad that Kane finally sees his mother for who he wants her to be, and she ends up dying. And so apparently in the preview, we see that Norma's daughter is probably going to find out what her mother does for a living, which I did not expect for them to get to that. But apparently, we see Norma's daughter with Tariq. It seems like they were in a car or something of that nature, and so apparently she's going to find out what's going on with them. Apparently, Kane's going to be upset with Drew and Diana, and probably Tariq and Davis as well, because he was saying in the preview that, why are you guys always doing things without me knowing? Because Kane probably would have been a great asset to their to whatever it is that they were trying to do. However, I'm not sure if he still would have gone along with it, with him trying to get his plan with Norma going. So there's no telling whether Kane would have been down for it or not. So I'm excited to see what happens in the series finale, that's coming on next week. Don't have the highest of expectations because of the last couple of episodes that have happened. It just doesn't feel like a final season for a big show like this. And so we'll see what happens. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this review. I know there wasn't much to it, but I just wanted to give you guys my reaction to what ended up happening. So join me next week for my review of the series finale. Love you guys for watching. Take care.